Welcome to the post-2020 world, everyone. This week, we open on some ducks flying north for the summer.
Say, how about east and west for a change?
All the while, that one orange bird was watching seemingly with envy, but I'm sure they won't get to read anything else to this show after this point. Kid, you got a little something on your head. Maybe you should just try and wipe that. Actually, never mind. Just go take a shower. Go take a shower. Okay, but seriously, I know people have already kind of pointed this out. I mean, that orange hair plus that swirl, yeah, looks like a turd.
What were they thinking?
Jokes aside, it's not a bad design. I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of the emo cut, and am kind of hoping that he loses it after next week. But in terms of color and layout, he does have a good male design for a predominantly female cast. Just, yeah, maybe not take care of advice from the great Michelle. Now, as for why there's a dude in this show, well, for this episode at least, he's meant to give Sora a good character conflict. Having sensed the presence of someone in Elle's room, our blue lead asked the orange bird if they had seen anything. This of course got Mashiro laughing over the thought that her waifu talked to birds like a Disney princess, forgetting that she came from a Disney-esque fantasy world where, as we saw in the first episode, birds had developed the ability to talk as well as other abilities depending on the species.
モデルの仕事をしている鳥もいますし、王様のお城で働いている鳥もいるんですよ。
I bet they also make for some good lawyers.
Ain't no need to fear me.
But yeah, this was some much appreciated world building that the show has been kind of lacking in as of late. Basically, as far as we can tell for now, bird species were on equal grounds with the humans of Skyland to the point that they could maintain governmental positions. Then again, I think even a bird brain would be preferable to some of our officials. Later, after some wordplay that I'm pretty sure they stole from Yakitachi Japan.
辛いライス最高。カレーライスだよ。辛いからカレーって。アホはお前じゃ。カレーはカレーからカレーって言うんじゃ。
Sora went full-on Keisatsu on the mystery boy after setting up an obvious trap. She suspected he was from the Undark Empire, but before anything else, he yeeted himself out of the scene.
Oh my God, don't do it, Shane! Don't do it! Oh my God!
However, when Sora looked down, instead of a boy, she had caught herself a chicken. Yeah, not too surprisingly, the orange bird and the mystery boy named Tsubasa were one and the same, and was also friends with Yo-Yo.
人間に変身できる鳥さん。あなたはもしや。
Related to these two, maybe? Nah, of course, he was a species of bird called the squishy birds, I'm guessing Skyline doesn't have their own equivalent to Latin, who had fallen through a convenient wormhole to Earth. Yeah, apparently they were fairly common occurrences, hence why the sky jewels from the third episode were just in their backyard.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, again, I am glad that they're finally explaining some of this stuff, but it does feel like some of this should have been exposited sooner rather than later. Whatever, it doesn't take too much away from this episode at least. And it certainly helped that Sora also tried to keep this episode's plot on track.
話をそらさないでください。私とエルちゃんがこっちに来た後ならいつだって使え。
Okay, y'all don't have to keep doing my job for me, you know. But yeah, I did like how Sora's issue with Tsubasa throughout this episode was somewhat justified. Sure, she was being overly judgmental, and for some reason turning into a dog.
怖い顔になっちゃってるよ、ソラちゃん。
But, as has been established in the show, she is very assertive, to the point that she will act on instinct, which include any sense of danger, like a boy sneaking into a little girl's room. Yeah, while I would argue it would be just as bad if Tsubasa were a girl, there is inherently a little more stranger danger when it is a guy, so the show is taking advantage of the Y chromosome beyond just window dressing for this character. Not to mention, the kid wasn't doing himself any favors by climbing up. So, while her actions were excessive, Sora also wasn't totally wrong, and it also did speak to a character flaw of hers, her insecurity about her own abilities.
頃エルちゃんは連れ去られていました。未熟。
However, the two start to warm up to each other when they watch Elle try to walk on her own in a cute and kind of heartwarming scene. Though, don't get too excited, you two. Once they start learning how to climb things, you'll be in hell. But yeah, seeing the infant be more proactive than him, Tsubasa finally decided to open up. As it turned out, Yo-Yo had not only given the bird boy his own room, but he had also been doing research, I'm assuming of the Wright brothers, and other feats of aviation. Hey, Tsubasa, did you read about this big balloon that was filled with hydrogen? But yeah, the reason he had tried to keep things to himself was, 1, he didn't know how the Precure would react, and 2, he was a little embarrassed about what he was researching, as apparently the squishy bird race had evolved to the point that they could develop human forms at the cost of their ability to fly. So yeah, I guess those tiny wings and pot bellies were just a genetic thing for them at this point. And while their TFing was a bit more on the fantasy side, it's also not unbelievable for a species to lose some of their original abilities over the course of evolution. I mean, just look at where humans came from. However, like our connections to our monkey ancestors, some traits don't really die off.
That was dramatic.
Yeah, somehow, Tsubasa's dad, perhaps through a convenient updraft and a little adrenaline, managed to save his son from falling during an accident on that same bird from the first episode. God, this guy's getting a lot of screen time. But yeah, the flying thing makes enough sense to me, helped by how this was a very well animated sequence. But how was he able to grab his son without talons that they also seem to lose during their evolution?
There's a simple explanation for that.
But yeah, after that incident, Tsubasa became obsessed with trying to fly on his own, even though, again, it was likely just a fluke.
じゃあ俺は目からビーム出しちゃおっかな。目からビーム。
And it was through one of his many flight attempts that he had fallen to Earth. Since then, he had tried to achieve what seemed to be impossible for his race through his research. And, not too surprisingly, that kind of relatable determination sent Sora into fangirl mode, and she apologized for judging Tsubasa wrong. Again, it makes sense for the character, and at least they didn't stretch this conflict out longer than necessary. Though, speaking of conflicts, where the hell is our Monster of the Week fight? Okay, Kabuto made a monster out of a toy drone, and how many minutes do we have left in this? Oh wow, this is gonna be a short fight.
航空力学的にありえません。今そんなこと言ってる場合かな。
Also, our finisher looks like that thing, so shut the hell up, you stupid bird. Anyway, our heroines engaged it in an okayish fight, with even Ageha getting in on it as support, but in the middle of things, Elle used her crib that they really should have taken the keys out of the ignition from, and started flying towards the dangerous fight. Using what he had learned from his research, Tsubasa followed after and... Wait, why are we pausing here? Wait, is this a legit cliffhanger? I mean, in case you didn't know, Precure usually has a very strict limit to the number of cliffhangers they can have per season, as apparently their target audience can't handle the suspense. So it is surprising that they're doing it here rather than saving it up for, say, the latter half of the series. I really hope this is a sign that they decide to let up on that ridiculous policy and just let the writers do their job, because this is a great way to end an episode. I mean, what else could they do to make it better? Oh, we got a cameo cure this week, and it's one of my favorites. Granted, a bit of a missed opportunity to not include Rablin for obvious reasons, but hey, nice to see Nodoka again. But yeah, this was a very effective debut for a new character with a very different trait than much of the cast. On top of just being an amiable character, Tsubasa's addition brought some much needed world building to the show, which has been kind of spinning its wheels for the past few episodes. Sure, there wasn't much of the usual visual storytelling that I would rave about, and yeah, pretty much no real fight this week, but with the promise of a second part, there's a lot to look forward to. Going into the season, I was skeptical about them bringing in Ageha and Tsubasa, as their traits of being a main character, adult, and boy respectively felt like some cheap window dressing just to add to the publicity of this already being an anniversary season. And yet, so far, I'm happy to say I was proven wrong. Ageha has been tackling actual young adult issues, and Tsubasa has had to deal with the fact that he is a boy amongst a bunch of girls. As nice as she is, there's also going to be some inherent gender prejudice on top of Sora's own laundry list of insecurities. It resulted in a good introspective arc for our lead that she did get over once she realized they're not that much different, and even managed to strike up a brother-sister-esque relationship. So yeah, thankfully it does seem like they will be mostly a platonic relationship, so any Sora/Mashiro shippers can rest easy. Hell, I think most signs are pointing to him ending up with Ageha anyway. But yeah, so far at least, Tsubasa's addition to the show has proven to be nothing but beneficial, as it has gotten the characters to exposit some much needed and lore for the show, and even more character building than they already had. Obviously, there's more to analyze, but we'll just hold off on that until next week. For now though, this is a great introduction to a character who hopefully will have a more satisfying conclusion than the cursed sword that just suddenly changed sides near the end of the show.
僕はあなたが気に入らない。だから反抗します。
So yeah, after a lot of delays because Toei can't keep their lips shut, we are just about done with the second part of the Futai review. At the rate we're going, it should be done by early April, and from there we might do some other projects before we tackle the second half of that OG. Look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and yeah, looks like I'm gonna be here for a while. Why do they always have traveling groups?